Here is problem number 4. So problem number 4 is asking you to find, we'll look at both problem 4 and problem 5. It's asking you to find vertical asymptotes, and problem 5 is asking you to find the horizontal asymptote. So a vertical asymptote, you have to remember that it's always x equals, and horizontal asymptote is always going to be y equals. Okay? That's something you have to remember. Because if you notice in the answer choice here, if it's asking you for horizontal, but it's giving you x equals, so you know it cannot be A or B, it has to be only C or D. And also with vertical asymptotes, you can have more than one vertical asymptote, but with horizontal asymptote, you can only have one asymptote. Okay? All right, let's do problem number 4. So for any asymptote questions, yes, there is a way you can do this by hand, but we're going to go ahead and do this on Desmos first, and then I'll show you how you can do this by hand as well. Okay, so for vertical asymptote or horizontal, we're going to go ahead and graph it. So for vertical asymptotes, vertical is up and down. So we look for these places that they both either drop down, and they'll be the same place where they both, go up. So there's two asymptotes here. So to find it, we're going to go to x, type x equals, since we're looking for vertical, and then, it's looking for the line that's in between here. So I would say x equals -1 is a vertical asymptote. Yeah, that looks good. And then for the other one, you also have here x equals, let's say 6. Yeah, we want to make sure it's in between these two. So see how it gets closer and closer to it, but it never touches it. Okay, let me just change the color of it. And then since they're imaginary lines, we like to graph them where it's with a dotted line. So those are my vertical asymptotes, -1 and +6. -1 and +6, that is my answer. And then, if you want to do this by hand, you have to set the denominator equal to 0. So you're going to set x squared minus 5x minus 6, set that equal to 0, and then you're going to solve. You can solve this by, since it's a quadratic, you can solve it by factoring. So you think of negative, what gives you -6? So you can do 1 times 6, because 1 times -6 is -6, 1 plus -6 is -5. And then now you set each factor equal to 0, so x plus 1 equal to 0, x minus 6 equals to 0, and then solve. So now you subtract 1, x equals -1, add 6, add 6, x equals +6, and that's where I got my answer. So this is solving, so you just set the denominator equal to 0, and then solve. So those are your 2 steps in solving. It's just when you have to solve quadratics, we did this in Unit 2 where we solved by factoring. Problem number 5. To find the horizontal asymptote, you're going to graph it. So let me take all this off. Let's graph this function. 2x squared over x squared minus 5x. So we're looking for the horizontal line. So for horizontal, it's always going to be y equals. It's always going to be y equals, and you want the line that goes in between here. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Since I have some to pick from, these are my only 2 options. It cannot be A or B because these are x equals. Let me try 0. No, that's not it. Let me try 2. Yes, that's it, because it's right in between here. So y equals 2 is the answer for this. And you can also make it into a dotted line and all that, but that's fine. And if you want to do this by hand without using a calculator, whenever you can find it by looking at the degree of the functions. So this is a square, this is a square. So when the degrees are the same, you just take the numbers in the front. So there's a 1 here. So this is my asymptote, 2 over 1. Y equals 2 over 1, which is equal to 2. So y equals 2 is your horizontal asymptote. All right, problem number 6. We have, which is all of this completely in simplified form. So we need to match this to this. You can do it in Desmos, but I'm going to show you how to do this by hand. So what helps is to be able to simplify fractions, okay? But since it's a division, before we can simplify it, we need to rewrite this using a multiplication symbol. We're going to change this into multiplication by switching the numerator and denominator. So I'm going to keep the first one the way it is. Change the division to a multiplication. And then we're going to flip these two. So the denominator goes up here. The numerator goes at the bottom. Numerator becomes the denominator. Denominator becomes the numerator. Now we can cancel out common factors from everything. So there's an a plus 2 here. There's an a plus 2 here. We can cross it out. You cannot cross it out unless you change it from a division to a multiplication and you flip it. If it's already multiplication, then you don't have to flip it. But for division, you have to. A minus 3 goes away. A plus 3 goes away. And here, so you have the 6 and the 2. So this can be reduced because 2 goes into 2 1 time, 2 goes into 2 3 times. Okay? And then you have a here and there's a squared, which is a times a. So if you take out an a here, you can take out an a here. So you just have just a by itself. So let's put this one together first. So you have here 3 in the numerator, and then you have a plus 2 in the denominator times. Everything goes away. When everything goes away, then it means there's a 1 there. So there's a 1 over, and looks like there's a 1, but don't forget this a right here. There's an a over here. So now, to do this, you can multiply straight across. So you have 3 times 1, which is 3, and then you have to multiply this. Be careful because the a has to be multiplied to everything here. So we need to distribute this. So a times a is a squared. A times 2 is 2a, and that will be my answer. Okay, so here, so the numerator is 3. It cannot be this one. The numerator is 3. It could be this. Oh, okay, they didn't multiply it out. So a times a is a squared. Oh, I'm sorry. This was supposed to be a 4. Oh my god. Which means that that got cancelled out. So this is a 4 here. This is a 4. Anyway, this is the answer because, well, this is the answer. 3. And then a times 4 plus 8. So it's b. Okay. Now, if you want to do this in Desmos, you can certainly do it in Desmos. You have to type all this up in here and then type up the answer choices. The only difference is just when you're typing this up, make sure to do it like this. You have a minus 3 over a plus 2, a plus 4. When you do a division bar in Desmos, so like if you hit the division, it drops it all in the denominator. So you just have to make sure to put all of this part in the denominator, which means you have to have another fraction bar in the denominator and plug this in. That's just something I want you I wanted you to see and be careful about that. Or if you want to change it into multiplication, then you can do that as well. Okay, and then here you're going to press this, and then just change your A to some random number. There's your decimal, and then let's try our answer choice that I got here to see if it matches. Yes, it does. They both are the exact same thing. Look at how crazy that thing looks. Alright, problem number 7. It says here, circle all of the asymptotes. So we need to go ahead and graph this, and then we need to find all of the asymptotes, meaning we need to find the vertical and the horizontal. Okay, so you need to select all of them. So we're going to go ahead and graph it. Y equals, you don't have to put the y equals, it doesn't matter. X squared minus 2x minus 8. Alright, so let's do the vertical. So there's 2 vertical asymptotes, right? So we're going to do x equals, let's say -2. That's 1, yeah. And the other one is x equals over here, which is +4. And then my horizontal is always going to be y equals, and they're only going to be 1. It looks like it's y equals 0. It's crossing the y-axis at 0. Yep. So, okay. So we have x equals -2. That's 1. X equals 4. You have to check all of them, and then y equals 0. Okay.